So another beautiful day down here on the Forgotten Coast, on the Gulf Coast, the panhandle of Florida. Very nice here at the Ho-Hum RV Resort. Ooh. As you can see, it's just another beautiful day. It's about 75 degrees right now. There's a nice breeze coming in off the Gulf. This is absolutely perfect. I think back home it's about 40 degrees right now. So I'm really liking this weather. So I learned a lesson yesterday. About when you're going to be doing videotaping or whatever this is, creating videos, and something for you to keep in mind. So I was going along doing my little video yesterday, going off on my little rant, and all of a sudden the little SD card registered as being full and the camera shut off. And I was mad. I was angry. I was like, what the hell is this crap? I don't understand why the SD card is full, because I deleted everything before I went out to do the video. So I went back and I thought, well, maybe I forgot to delete everything before I went to do the video. I plugged my SD card into the computer, and no, lo and behold, there was the one video I was doing yesterday and nothing else. So I kind of scratched my head for a second and went, well, that doesn't make any sense. And then I go and I do the get info to find the information about the SD card, and the SD card really does only have 436 megs left of storage out of the 64 gigs. And so I'm sitting there scratching my head like, I wonder why that is. And the reason is because although I deleted my video files using my computer, I did not empty the trash can or the recycle bin. So all of those deleted files were still in fact taking up space because I had never emptied the trash can on my Mac. So something to keep in mind if you guys are deciding to go out there and vlog like me, you're gonna go travel around the world and do vlogs like this. Whenever you delete the information on your video SD card, make sure to empty the trash, or you'll run into stupid problems like I ran into yesterday. So just one of those tips from a content creator actually out on the road when stupid things happen. But anyways, it's April 3rd right now. This is our last full day here down at this particular place on the Gulf Coast. Tomorrow we go off to Pensacola, Florida. Never been to Pensacola, Florida. Never had an interest in going to Pensacola, Florida. Pensacola is just one of those names you hear. There's a Navy base there, right? There's a Pensacola Air Station. There's some kind of military base there. So I have heard of Pensacola from the whole military grapevine, but it's more or less that it exists. Otherwise, I don't really know anything about it. But we were trying to find a place. So we booked out our RV reservation for New Orleans from like the 12th to the 20th or the 19th. So we basically booked out a week in New Orleans, but we booked out a week in New Orleans a week from now. So we had to figure out where to go between here and there. And so we're trying to figure it out and finally came to Pensacola. So Pensacola is supposed to be some nice white sand beaches, should be a nice area. I don't know, we'll see. We're gonna be there for 8 days. So who the hell knows? Again, plan? What plan? We don't have any plan. But anyway, so it's April 3rd, and yesterday we went off to Leon Sinks, which is a nice little area of the Apalachicola National Forest. It's one of the few places. Again, if you come down here and you look at Apalachicola National Forest on a map, it looks like a really massive forest, and you're gonna think, wow, there's gonna be a crap ton of trails I can hike in that forest. And you're gonna be wrong. You're gonna be wrong. There are a lot of Jeep trails. There are 1.5 zillion Jeep trails, or old logging trails. But like hiking trails that are interesting, yeah, not so many. 4 or 5, something like that. And so the Leon Sinks area, one of the reasons I was interested in it is it's a place where there's hiking trails. So there's about 4.2 miles. Well, I guess there's about 5 miles total of trails, depending on what extra things you do. So we went over there yesterday to take a look at what was going on over there. So the big thing with the Leon Sinks area is that it's an area of sinkholes. So Florida has a massive problem with sinkholes. How sinkholes develop, or sinkholes are basically where the ground just collapses. So you're looking at a flat piece of ground and then there's just a big hole in the middle of it and you don't really know why. And the reason, what sinkholes are, is that there's caves, obviously caves underground, and sometimes those caves collapse. So if the flat ground is here and there's a cave here and this cave collapses, well then the ground above sinks down, so you get a sinkhole. In Florida, this is a huge problem. Like houses disappear. Like people literally die in Florida from sinkholes. I think last year there was a guy, poor bastard. He was asleep in his bedroom. A sinkhole opened up and just swallowed his bedroom. Not a joke, not an exaggeration. Sinkholes in Florida really are scary things. They're slightly more scary than alligators. Alligators are scary. Sinkholes are just like, right? And so the Leon Sinks area, basically there's some karst, coral, who the hell knows what. There's some geographic geological formation underneath this area. And it's one of the biggest cave systems, at least in the United States. It's supposed to be like a 28-mile, just a huge cave system under there. And so being such a large cave system, they have a lot of sinkholes in the area. And so the Leon Sinks area of the National Forest is you get to go in, you can see all of these different sinkholes. So within that little 5-mile, or even less as far as the sinkholes go, within about a 3-mile loop, you're seeing like 10 or 12 sinkholes. So that's how many sinkholes there can be in an area. And there's all different kinds. There's small sinkholes, and there's dry sinkholes, and there's wet sinkholes, and there's cool sinkholes, and there's everything else. Really, there's the hammock sinkhole, and then everything else. If you go there, it's a very nice hike. It is a very nice hike. The sinkholes are a bit anticlimactic, to be honest with you. The sinkholes are a bit, you think you're gonna go there and you're gonna see like 20 marvels of the natural world. And really you see like 3 marvels of the natural world and then a lot of holes. Right. So you go there and you walk through and you see all these different sinkholes. And so there's wet sinkhole, so there's dry sinkholes and wet sinkholes. So dry sinkholes are where there's a sinkhole, but it doesn't go below the water table, so it's a dry. So basically it's just like a little bowl in the ground. It really doesn't look like anything special. I've seen little bowls in the ground all the way from here to Michigan. Who the hell cares? The wet sinkholes are pretty cool because what happens with wet sinkholes is they literally drop so far down that they go below the water table, and so at the bottom of those, that's where you get basically little ponds at the bottom of these sinkholes, and those are pretty cool. And we walked through. They had different dry sinkholes and wet sinkholes. The one that is really awesome, though, is it's called the hammock sinkhole. And I don't know why, because they didn't have enough information there, but the water in the hammock sinkhole is really clear, but it has these weird colors to it, and so it's an absolutely beautiful place. When you go to the hammock sinkhole, it is one of those places where you're like, wow, this is truly an awesome experience. So you spend your time there. There's a little boardwalk around the hammock sinkhole, and you can take a look at it. There's trees that go overhead, and the water is so clear. You can see the stuff under the water, but there's some kind of chemical composition to the water, so the water has a different like coloring. So that was really, really cool. Then past that you go, and again, there's big sinkholes and small sinkholes. The rest of it is, it's a nice hike. The other really cool part there, though, is they do have the disappearing stream, which is always like wacky to take a look at whenever you see any of these. So I've seen these with rivers, and now this is with a stream. And so with the disappearing stream, what happens is you have it's a big flowing stream too. It's not a trickle. It's not like this wide. It's a stream. It's a fast flowing stream. And the cool part with that is you have this stream and you have this fast flowing stream, and then there's basically just this rock wall, and it hits the rock wall and then stops. But you can see all the water keeps going, but then there's this rock wall, and you wonder what the hell happened to the water. And what it is the water is then hitting that rock and then going into the underground cave system. So that was also a very cool thing to see. So that's really it. If you're gonna go to Leon Sinks, the hammock sinkhole is really cool, and the disappearing stream is really cool. And the overall hike, it was a nice hike around. If you don't have anything better to do in this area, it's like a $3 fee to get in there for the day. Overall, very nice. They also did have camping and RV spots there, so I'm not sure how you get those spots, but that would be a nice place to stay. Again, these are things that I'm keeping in my head, because that's a nice place to stay. Like, if you stay in an RV park like this, I mean, you know, you're in an RV park or whatever, right? You have to drive. Anywhere you want to go, you have to drive. So if we want to go to Leon Sinks, we got to drive. If we want to go to Tate's Hell, we got to drive. The nice thing is if you can get these RV spots in the national park or the national forest, is you're right there. So you wake up in the morning, you have your cup of coffee, and then you can go out and you can hike around the sinks and take a look at what's going on. You don't have to get in your car. So that's a nice thing. They did have at least 2 RV spots there, plus some camping. So yeah, so that seemed pretty nice. Leon Sinks. Not gonna say world class, but definitely worth your time. If you go there, well, it takes you like two hours maybe to walk around the thing. Definitely worth 2 hours and $3. I would have to say, definitely worth a couple hours and $3. So yeah, other than that, everything is trucking along. We're getting close to being done with our 3rd week and still feel good about this whole RV thing. Now, one of the questions that's come up from the fan base is, again, I have 3 different YouTube channels. I have my Eli the Computer Guy channel, Eli Computer Guy Live, and then obviously Failed Normal. And so I have a lot of fans over for Eli the Computer Guy. Again, about 500,000 subscribers now for what I talk about over there. Very impressive numbers. And so I've been having some fans, and they've been saying that I should stick with what I'm good at, right? So I've been creating those tech videos over for that channel. Overall, that project is about 5.5 years old, and within the tech YouTube world, I am a world-class personality. Truly, I mean, I get calls all the way from China or that kind of crap. Basically, I'm not quite one of a kind, but there's not many of me. You can probably count all of us on about two hands. And so what some people are saying is they're saying, well, Eli, this whole Failed Normal thing that you're doing looks kind of cute and kind of quaint, but you know you are awesome. You know you are cool doing the Eli the Computer Guy channel. So, and this is the advice that we're always given in life, stick with what you're good at. Stick with what you're good at. Go and have vacations. Eli, go and have whatever kind of vacation you want, but then come back and give us tech videos. That's what we really want. And that's the kind of advice a lot that is given. This sticking with what you're good at is a piece of advice that is just ubiquitous, at least in the American world, is that everybody is told, you know, if you're good at something, then you stick with what you're good at. And I would argue, being that this is ubiquitous in the American world, this is one of the main problems with the modern American world, is that too many people are sticking with what they're good at, right? So I've talked about my feeling about the area of IT that I have been very proficient in is becoming obsolete. It's just fundamentally becoming obsolete. I can go into a 2-hour discussion on why what I do in technology is fundamentally becoming obsolete. And so one of the problems that I see in life is that so many people, they find their little niche, they find the thing that they're good at, they find where they are valuable, and then they just stick with it. Come hell or high water, this is what they do. I am this is me, this is how I make my living. And then the world changes, the world shifts, because the world always changes and the world always shifts, and then they're pissed off and they're mad and they're angry because now they're obsolete and nobody wants to hire them. I am the best in my field, why will nobody hire me? Well, because nobody gives a damn about your field anymore, right? And so one of the problems that I see, and this is a really big problem in the American world right now, is that people have found the places where they make money, they have found the places where they're successful, and then no matter what happens, they just stick with that. That is what they do, that is who they are, they will not change, and then they don't understand why they're getting food stamps a decade from now. So with me, basically what I do is I always have about 10 different balls in the air, because I always figure nine plans out of 10 will fail, only one will succeed, and so I always have 9 balls in the air, or 10 balls in the air, with trying to figure out which of the balls will actually be the successful plan. And so that's what I'm doing here, is I'm going out here, I'm experimenting, I'm seeing how Fail Normal does. I kind of like how the numbers with Fail Normal are doing right now. They're not great, they're obviously not as good as my other channels, but they're not horrible either. And seeing if I can make a go at this, because what I know in deep in my heart, again, as a professional, I am a technology professional. I hate to say thought leader in technology, but something along those lines, right? I've done this for a long time. I've been a consultant. I've had my own businesses. I've had my certification. I schmooze with CEOs, all that kind of stuff. And as a professional, I look at my field. I know my field is dying. I know at the bottom of my heart, my field is dying. What I am specialized in, what I am really good in, what I am world class in, ain't gonna be that valuable in 5 years. It's questionable how valuable it is right now. Truly, right? And so the thing is do I stick with what I'm good at, because right now it's making me money, or do I take the lessons that I have learned from this area of my life and try to use them to start doing something else? So I was a technology professional, then I was a consultant, then I had my own business, and then I started doing videos about doing technology, right? So all of that is technology. Well, something to think about is I've been doing YouTube videos, or I've been doing these streaming videos now for 5.5 years. So at what point do you go from being a technology professional to being a YouTube professional? or a streaming content professional, or a professional that has a niche in technology, but the real profession is this other thing, content creation. And so that's what I'm looking at now, and I'm looking at it and I'm saying, well, okay, I'm an IT professional, I'm a technology professional, and I'm a content creation professional. I am now certifiably both of those professionals. 5.5 years in the YouTube world, making good money, well known. I can say I'm a professional. I can say I'm really good at this. And so the question is if I'm looking, I'm like, okay, I've got YouTube content creation here, and that's kind of a profession. And then I've got IT technology, and that's a profession, obviously. But I'm looking at it going, you know, what I do in IT and technology, what I'm good at in IT and technology is dying. It's dying. It's going away. I know it's going away. Everybody I talk to know it's going. Everybody I respect knows it's going away. So do I keep focusing and do I keep trying to milk this dying cow for everything that it's worth? Or do I take what I have learned from doing technology and web content creation and then use that to shift to doing a different type of web content creation, right? Maybe this thing that I've been really good at, IT technology, maybe the time for that has come and more or less gone. I've dealt with professionals, I've dealt with C-level executives and that type of thing all my life. It's just kind of one of those random things, just the kind of person I am since I was 18 years old. I've always been dealing with the high-level people. Not necessarily that they appreciated me so much. I've just always been in the room. For whatever reason, I've always been in the room. And one of the interesting things is when you deal with high-level people, especially when they get to be about 50 or 60, is when you start talking to them, you start to find out that they are now high-level professionals in fields that they did not start in. There are so many people out there where, especially with, I saw this with the green technology revolution, solar, wind, and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of people making a huge amount of money off that right now. And I saw so many people that had transitioned, and they had been software developers, they had been programmers, they had been IT technologists. And then when this new green technology came in, they went, you know what? That looks a lot more profitable. And so they shifted over to this new thing, and they continued to be successful. When all their friends during the IT bust were losing their jobs, they were trucking along, creating new business and doing really well. And so this is one of those things to be thinking about in life is, this whole idea of stick with what you're good at is so ingrained in our society. And again, just as a thought experiment, a lot of people say, oh, Eli, you think you know it all. Oh, you're no, just as a thought experiment. You look around at our modern society. If you're an American, if you're not an American, go away. But if you're an American, sit down and look at our modern society and ask yourself, are we building what we want for the future? Right? When you look at what's getting built right now for the American society, when you just do a little mind, just a little projection with your mind, and you think this is where we are now, this is where I can see us being a decade from now, this is where I see us being 2 decades from now. Do you appreciate where we're going? Does that make you feel happy? Does that make you feel excited? Or does that make you feel a little queasy, a little nervous, a little, wow, we're still desperately grasping for jobs that nobody thinks is relevant. Really, again, if you look at our modern economy, again, I sit down with employers, and it's the worst thing in the world. All these people, all these employees want to be employed in jobs that nobody cares about, right? And so that's one of the things, that just sit there and do your own mental puzzle with this of, let's see, if where we're going as a society is probably in a direction that none of us really want to go, and if one of the main tenets of our society is to stick with what we're good at, maybe, just thinking here, just spitballing, maybe sticking with what we're good at might not be the best advice, And so it's one of those things for you to ponder. Now, this doesn't mean that you just throw away everything that you're successful in. If you're out there and you're a professional right now and you're making money, you're paying the mortgage, I am not telling you to dump all that and go off and be a vlogger, right? I'm not saying that. I still make, but one of the things you have to think about is transitioning to what your new thing is. So I still make a lot of money off of Eli the Computer Guy. So Eli the Computer Guy and Eli Computer Guy Live, I've got some sponsorship dealings and all that. So right now I'm still world class in that. I'm still making money at that. I'm still paying all my bills. I can still travel around the world in a tiny piss-ass travel trailer if I want to. That is still bringing in the money. So before that's failed, before that doesn't bring in any more money, before that is just a footnote in my autobiographical history, transition now to trying to find a thing that will then make me be successful in the future. Because that's one of the problems that I also see is people do this whole thing, you know, stick with what you're good at, stick with what you're good at. And at some point they see the light, because at some point they're going to be going out there for food stamps and they're going to be like, well, what I was good at is no longer working. But here's the thing, this is what I try to explain to you guys, is do you want to figure out that what you're doing isn't working when you're getting food stamps? When you're getting welfare, you know, when you're to the point when you can no longer pay the mortgage, is that the point that you want to try to figure out that transition? Right? So if I sit here and I look at the Eli the Computer Guy brand, honestly, the Eli the Computer Guy brand, I've got about 5 more years. 5 more years, I can milk that puppy, one way or another. 5 more years, I can milk that puppy. I can make money. 6 years? Seriously, I'm a professional. This is what I do. This is what I look at. It's I judge. Whenever you're in business, you have to think about where you are and where you're going. And when I look at it in 6 years, 6 years makes me nervous. No matter what I do, if I work 12 hours a day, if I go out there and I start interviewing Bill Gates, whatever, I don't see how it's valuable after 6 years. So what I do now is if I see that I've got a 5-year at most lifespan of what I'm doing, you start to transition now. While you're still bringing in the money, while you're still impressive in what you're doing, while you still have power with what you're doing, you transition now. So I start transitioning now. The lifespan of Eli the Computer Guy is another 5 years, and I'm trucking along, and that means I have 5 years of what's called runway in the startup world before I have to make this successful, right? And that makes life a lot easier. Do you want to be experimenting? Do you want to be trying to figure out a new way to make money and a new way to be happy and all that when you have to? When you can't pay the mortgage, when you can't pay the rent, when the car has been repossessed? Or do you want to figure that out when frankly all your bills are paid, money's going in the bank account, and maybe I'll experiment with this a little bit, maybe I'll experiment with that a little bit. I'm not sure which one of these plans will work out. I'm sure one of these plans will be fine. I'll just play a little bit. So that's what I'm doing right now. I am playing, because I see the writing on the wall. Again, I don't know how many of my tech subscribers actually watch these videos. But I don't know what to tell them. I get so many questions that are so circa 1999. And I don't know what to say to these people. They're all like, which certification should I get? Is the CCNA still valuable? Is the A+? You know how many people are still asking me about A+? And I know some of you guys who aren't tech people don't know what that is. But it's just, oh my God. It really is. I mean, imagine if you did YouTube videos and you had people emailing you questions basically about VCR repair. That's about where A+ is. And yet people still take it so seriously. And it's like, wow. You guys do see that writing. See that writing on the wall? 50-foot letters. This career will be obsolete soon. Do you guys see that? Yeah. Anyways, no, they don't. But what can you do? I keep doing my thing. I keep trying to tell everybody. I keep being as honest as possible. Not my fault if they all ignore me, right? But yeah, so that is just what the thought for today is, because I do see that so much where people, stick with what you're good at. And it's so ingrained in our society. And then I look around, and at least for me, I look around and go, well, maybe that's our damn problem. Maybe too damn many people are sticking with what they're good at versus sticking with something that they'll be better at, right? There we go. Not just what you're good at, what can you be better at? That's what I'm doing. And who knows? Maybe in a year, failed normal will be a footnote, but I don't think so. There's a lot of calculations that go into this whole little failed normal thing that you guys don't see. And I'm really thinking failed normal will be good. But that's one thing to keep in mind too. Whenever you're doing a transition, you're transitioning from one thing to the other, because that's what some people say. Is they look at the last video I did for Eli the Computer Guy is 53,000 views. One of my top videos has 1.5 million views. And so they look at the videos for fail normal, and they have 500 views. But one of the things a lot of people don't think about is I've been doing the Eli the Computer Guy project for 5.5 years. 5.5 years I've been doing that project. Fail normal, really? We're at a month and a half, maybe 2 months. Really, we're at about 2 months. you can say that I've been putting any kind of real effort into this. I mean, Fail Normal is so new that I only got the vanity URL, fail YouTube/fail normal. I only got that 4 days ago. And so that's one of the problems that people have, is they look at your new project that you just started 2 months ago, and then they look at your old project that you've been working on 5.5 years. They go, well, your new project isn't very successful. Well, this new thing that you're doing, you made $50 a month off this new project compared to thousands of dollars a month you're making off the old project. Obviously, this new project isn't valuable. It's like, come on, guys. I've been doing this for 2 months. Give me a year. Give me at least a year before I have to prove that this thing works. But that is my theory. That is my thought for today. And with that, we're gonna go off. I think what is it? St. George's Island. I think that's what it's called. There's an island out here. I think it's that island. If you can see that island. It's called St. George's Island. So I think we're gonna go over to St. George's Island today, see what St. George's Island is like, and then tomorrow we will be off to Pensacola, Florida, for 8 days, and we'll see what happens there.